guys, welcome back to Days of Darkness and welcome to my review for The Purge, Anarchy. This one came out in 2014. It is starring Frank Grillo, Carmen Ejogo, and Zoe Soul and was directed by James DeMonaco. So, like I've said before, I'm pretty much going into these movies blind. And with this one, I know, like when it came out, which was the only time I saw it, the big deal with this one was, you know, besides it's, you know, the sequel to the very successful Purge, it's the first one that really gives us an outside view and a broader view of what the Purge entails and how certain people celebrate and how certain, you know, it's just a much broader view with a much wider scope on things. So I remember there being a lot of intrigue. You know, obviously I was in high school when this movie was coming out, so I was hearing a lot of talk about it. And I went and saw it, and I dug it, you know, and I really didn't remember a whole lot. And I gotta say, man, I was pleasantly surprised. I actually really enjoyed this quite a bit. Is it a perfect movie? No. No, it's not. There are some things that hamper it down a little bit, but I'll be honest, I think the positives far outweigh the negatives. You know, it's like I said, I've said it before, I'll say it 1,000 times because I believe it's important to state. There is no such thing as a perfect movie. It's never going to happen. It's not out there. I promise you it's not. So, you know, I am certainly not going to go into a Purge movie with expectations like that. And I think it definitely benefited from, you know, me having pretty low expectations because I have very distinct memories of as this series went on and I would go see them, I would be less and less impressed with each viewing. But man, this one, I have very little to complain about. We'll get into the complaints as we move forward through the review, but overall, if you need a recommendation without any spoilers involved, fuck yeah. I think it's a good time. I think, you know, it's a good way to kill an hour and a half. Very entertaining, very fun, and pretty fucking scary, too, at certain points. So, yeah, go see it. But anyways, one thing that I think this film really does succeed in is conveying the fact that this series is essentially limitless. Not limitless because it is limited to the United States, but you think about the amount of people in the United States and you think about all the different stories you could tell with this concept, it could go on forever. I know they're still making Purge shit today, so there's no reason to ever stop making these movies. As long as they're making money, Hollywood's going to keep making them. It's just how it rolls. But yeah, man, I really think this was a good launching off point for that. You know, we have a simple enough of a compelling story here with what I think are perfectly serviceable horror movie characters. Horror, action, whatever you consider the genre to be. You know, are they the most developed people in the world? No. And they don't have to be. It's not necessary. We're talking about a citywide riot, basically, a legalized riot. So there's really not a whole lot of need to go super in-depth with anybody. But what we do get from certain characters, I think, is really good. You know, obviously, the main character of the movie, played by, well, I don't know if he's the sole main character, but he's definitely the leader of his group, played by Frank Grillo, who, interestingly enough, does not have a name. And I like when movies do that. You know, it adds a basic sense of mystery, but a sense of mystery, which I enjoy. But his character, you know, as the movie goes on, it is revealed that he is going out on this Purge night to get a measure of revenge on the man who killed his son in a drunk driving accident. You know, awful thing for a parent to go through. And I really think they did a good job blending his motivations, you know, with his morality and the fact that, you know, yes, this man is hell-bent on getting revenge. He wants this motherfucker's head on a platter, no doubt about it. But he's also not a bad person, you know. It's not like we're spending a half hour developing his storyline. It's done very quickly. But we do get brief scenes of like his ex-wife coming over before the purge even begins, and her kind of realizing, since she was married to him at one point, kind of realizing what he's about to do. You know, she sees the guns and all that shit at his apartment, and she basically tries to talk him out of it, and he's like, nope, 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 nope. The entire time, he is adamant, I'm going to kill this motherfucker. He took one of the only things in this world that means anything to me. He's fucking dead. Understandable to a certain extent. I do wonder, though, and this is a little nitpicky, he does say, when his ex-wife does come over, he says, like, oh, well, you know, go back to your new life and your new family. Man, this happened a year ago. Like, his son died a year ago. And I'm assuming that's what caused him to go off the deep end, hence them getting a divorce, yada, yada, yada. It's never really explained. It could be explained that, you know, they got a divorce before that, and, you know, they were just co-parenting this kid. But you don't really know, and it's never really explained, and it doesn't have to be. I just noticed little itty-bitty things like that, I think, that could have gotten sprinkled in there and made a little more sense. But overall, I really do think his character is handled fairly well throughout the story. There is one thing that we're going to get to that I feel like was not really handled the most carefully in the world, but it is what it is. I enjoyed the mother and daughter and that whole dynamic in the film, and their dying father / grandfather. That trio of characters I thought was handled very well, even though the grandfather's in it pretty briefly, I'd say. But I think all three of those characters are really cool. Mostly the mother and daughter. They obviously, along with Sargent, are two key characters throughout the film. And the daughter I found very interesting because throughout the film she is noticeably following this revolutionary type guy, and he's gathering this militia in preparation for Purge Night to basically eradicate the people who are really benefiting from this, that being the rich, and basically taking revenge because a lot of the people that are in this militia are in the same position that this daughter and her mother are in. Poverty-stricken, you know, the system is failing them, and the purge in their minds, and is basically confirmed to be true. The purge is essentially meant to eliminate the poor people so that, you know, more of the rich people exist, therefore America is just that much better off. As fucked up as that idea is, that is, you know, an underlying purpose for the purge, not just about, you know, releasing your beast or whatever the fuck they say. But I do think that daughter has some cool moments with, mostly with Sargent, and just having those two characters kind of clash, because it's very clear early on when they get rescued by him, you know, why he is out, and the fact that he was planning on purging. And we find out, you know, all of these details get revealed throughout the film, but they find out why he's purging and all of that, and there's just some very interesting dialogue between those two that I thought was pretty cool. You know, like I said, people will clown these movies for having hollow characters, but with a movie like this, it's not necessarily all that necessary to, you know, spend so much time developing each character and making sure they have a thorough backstory. It's like, you know why you're here. You're here to see some fucked up, crazy purge shit happen. And it does. And while all that stuff is very entertaining, they do spend a little time developing these characters, which I appreciate. I'll stop talking about that, though. I hear people say that shit all the fucking time, and it's annoying. I also really enjoyed the couple, the younger couple that are getting ready to break up. You know, it's kind of before the purge even goes down. There's some clear signs of some tension there, and then we find out that they are planning to break up, and they're planning to tell their family about it. So it's clear this was a pretty long-term couple. This wasn't just, you know, a couple-month-long thing. Like, these guys were clearly dating for years. While I thought their arc was definitely the least detailed, like, they're just a couple that's arguing and fighting, and they're about to break up, and the events that go throughout the film kind of bring them back together, ending in tragedy. We'll get there. But, you know, not the most developed, definitely out of the main entourage of people. Definitely could have been a little more. But, like I say, overall, I think they're welcome additions to the cast. Definitely some goofy decisions made with them. Mainly one thing that I'm thinking of. There's a scene in the subway where they all, like, they're running away from this Purge group. And the boyfriend just turns around and starts shooting in kind of like a last stand type thing. I'm like, dude, there's no reason to do that. Like you can literally just keep running. It's fine. It's okay. I don't know who you're trying to impress. And he ends up getting shot for it. He doesn't die yet, but it was just very out of nowhere. But like I said, a little nitpicky shit. But overall, I do think they're fine. I don't, you know, dislike them or anything like that. So, another cool thing about this entourage of protagonists is the fact of how they all meet. I felt like it was very natural. I felt like it was very well done. Essentially, you know, Frank Grillo's character, Sergeant, is riding around in his very, very, you know, pimped out, armored to the fucking teeth muscle car, and he's just kind of riding around. I don't know why he doesn't just go straight there and then just come back. It's like, you know, the night's pretty quick for you, man. Like, you don't really have to do a whole lot. I guess he's just trying to traverse the city, trying to keep his head down as much as this big fucking muscle car can allow him to. And he does end up, you know, running into the mother and daughter who are being drug out by this militia that has been hired by one of the villains of the movie, Big Daddy, who I think is a fucking great villain. I love, like, he's so mysterious throughout the film. You learn basically nothing about him. He is just this very intimidating older man, very big man too, and he is riding around in this fucking semi-truck, in the back of this semi-truck, and he just has this fucking Gatling gun, this minigun behind it, and he'll open up the door and just fucking mow people down. And we find out that, you know, like that guy doing the militia shit said, the Purge is essentially, you know, one of the purposes of it is to cut down the poor people. And that's basically Big Daddy's job. So he gets his not private, but his militia to bust into this fucking apartment building and just mow through motherfuckers and kidnap the people that, you know, are fit for kidnapping. And that includes, well, really, it's just the mother and the daughter. And, you know, Sergeant sees these two being basically drugged by their fucking hair. And what Zoe Soul's character is even fucking thrown very violently to the ground at one point. I was like, fuck, man, that was brutal shit. But he sees all of this going down, and you can hear him in his head, or not in his head, but he's very he is vocalizing it, but he goes like, don't, just keep driving, don't do anything, just keep driving, just ignore it, don't be a hero, yada yada yada. And that's like, there's just something, there's that soldier spirit inside of him that just can't let it happen. And that is saying something, because he drives past some pretty fucked up shit going down. A lot of people getting beaten to death, a lot of people getting killed. But he, for some reason, it just tugs at his heartstrings enough to where he fucking goes crazy on these motherfuckers and kills all of them, and damn near kills Big Daddy right then and there. But his bullet just grazes his cheek, and he has to rush off and save these two because Big Daddy's getting up, and I doubt he's going to let them live now. So, yeah, they got to go. Meanwhile, this couple really, really loved the Purge announcement scene in this movie, because a lot of it is based around these two. You know, they're bickering hours before the Purge is going down, but they're going to head home and lock down for the night. And that's when we first see the people that this movie was basically marketed around, the hunters, you know, the guy in the God mask, and they're all wearing plastic masks. Not too dissimilar from the villains of the first movie, but these guys, it's much more individualized, and one guy just straight up has face paint on, so Clearly, these guys are a little more rebellious. They're obviously a little more poor, and we can tell that, you know, they're basically just doing this for money. They don't really want to kill anybody, as we find out later on, but for the time being, we don't know what their motivation is. So they're just these very threatening young men. One of them fucking basically runs right into the boyfriend and acts all creepy towards him, and we find out later on that that was a distraction so another one could go under and cut some shit on their car, and it basically causes them to break down in the middle of a fucking bridge right when the Purge is being announced. Well, not right when, but they don't have a lot of time. And basically when the Purge is being announced, we get to see it not from the house. We do partially with the mother and the daughter, but we get to see it also out in the streets as these two are frantically running around. You know, they're going over the rules of the Purge, and these two are fucking panicking. And then that siren starts fucking going off around the loudspeakers and shit around the city, and it's like, oh my god, dude. Just to think of that this place you're so used to being in is now about to become a war zone. And you're right in the fucking middle of it. Terrifying. Absolutely fucking terrifying. Then once the Purge is happening and night falls and we see them, you know, having to traverse the city through this very, very hellish environment that they're now in. And there's one moment where they even they try to hide in a dumpster and there's a dead body in there. There's one scene, man, which almost got kill of the film, but, you know, this guy gets dropped from a roof. And they don't show it, but you can tell, man, he just falls right on his fucking head, dude. It's like, oh, shit. You can hear the crunch and everything. Brutal stuff. But eventually they do make their way to this chaotic scene where Sergeant is attempting to save this mother and daughter. And they sneak into Sergeant's car in the back. And once Sergeant and the two women get into the car, obviously he's like, who the fuck are you? Get the fuck out. So he's saving even more people than he was bargaining for. He wasn't going to save anybody, and now two has quickly turned into four, and now we have our group. I just thought it was a very well done way to introduce these characters to each other very quickly so we can, you know, get purging. Oh, and I almost forgot. So they're driving around, and eventually Frank Grillo's big, souped-up, poor man's Batmobile fucking breaks down, you know? And it's like, all that fucking money, I'm sure that guy invested in that shit just for it to fucking break down. Son of a bitch. But anyways, so he kind of realizes he's fucked, and he's like, all right, well, I guess you guys are on your own, so see ya. And they're like, what the fuck? No, buddy. And they eventually work out a deal to where the mom's like, hey, I just got off the phone with my friend. She's willing to take us in. If you can get us to her, I will, you know, let you use her car. And he's like, she's going to give me her car. You're serious? She's like, yep. And he's like, all right, fine. And because at this point they know that basically he is bound and determined to kill somebody during this night. So yeah, that is basically her bargaining chip to get them to safety. And it's very interesting once they get there. Obviously, there's a bunch of other fun Purge shit that happens throughout the pretty tense sequences, but, you know, it's not a plot rundown, even though I'm kind of doing that. But anyways, they eventually do get there. And once they're there, I love the tone in the apartment scenes. You know, it's a little weird, but at the same time, I really like it. It's very clear that something is off. You know, the friend of the mom is, you know, getting wine drunk, and they're all basically just having this nice little party. And there's a lot of tension between her and her sister. You know, and the sister of the friend, her husband is there. Yeah. There's just a lot of very random tension going on, and you're like, what the fuck is going on? Meanwhile, Sergeant's like, all right, you're safe. Get me my fucking car. Like, now, please get me my car. And she basically, you know, just comes right out and says it. She's like, dude, I lied. I'm sorry. I needed to make sure me and my daughter were safe. And that's just what I had to do. I'm sorry. And he's like, you don't, like... And we get a lot of sense of this character, too, from this scene. Because, you know, anybody else who is purging, you can tell, is very unhinged. And probably would react violently to this information. And, like, he has every right to do it. He could probably kill everybody in that fucking house if he wanted, or apartment, if he wanted to, right then and there. Like, pretty easily. But he doesn't. I think that says a lot about that character and the fact that he is probably more than pissed off right now. But he tries to leave anyway, and he's like, fuck this. Fuck you guys. I'm just gonna leave anyway. Fuck it. And the daughter tries to convince him to stay. Meanwhile, once all this shit is happening, you see the sister pull out a fucking pistol and just shoot her sister dead right then and there. Boom, boom, boom. And it's like, oh my god. So now this safe haven that they were in has just immediately plunged into fucking chaos. All because the sister of, the friend of the mom was cheating, the sister of the friend, her husband, the friend's sister's husband, was cheating on the sister with the friend. Probably should have written names down for this, huh? But anyways, so they, that whole, you know, situation goes kerplunk pretty fucking quick. And they wind up back on the streets, and they very quickly get captured by, and I will also say, I love the fact that, you know, they escape, and the sister's shot dead. The older dad is just kind of sitting there. And I love that we leave that apartment just kind of up in the air. Like, the husband and wife are still alive. And we just kind of leave. It's just kind of ambiguous of what happened. And I thought that was pretty cool. Anyway, our main, you know, group of people are now out on the streets and very quickly get captured by the hunters that we've been seeing throughout the entire movie. And it's pretty quickly revealed why they've been stalking these people the whole time. And it is essentially to bring them to these rich, yuppie pieces of shit. And this simulated hunting game that these people have been doing all night. I think at this point, there's like 5 or 6 hours left in the Purge. So we're coming down on the wire here. And these people get kidnapped for the last round of this simulated hunting game. And there's an entry fee, and all these people, you know, volunteer. It's like, I think it's like $20,000 or something just to fucking kill people. It's like, dude, you can go out and fucking kill people. Like, you don't, but they like, you know, having this posh little comfortable environment when they can just be fucking psychos and not really have to worry about it. You know, yuppies, right? Fucking wimps. Anyways, go kill people like a normal person. But yeah, man, so they get unleashed into this fucking simulated, you know, wooded area type thing. And Sergeant dispatches these purgers pretty fucking quickly. And I liked the detail of, you know, these fucking people don't know how to fight. Like, it's a pitch black room with all this shit in the way. You know, these people are literally just dumped into this fucking environment where the people hunting them have night vision goggles and they have weapons, and it's like they're at a total disadvantage. Like, there's no way they can fucking do anything. Only problem is they did not gamble on one of these people being ex-military. So he very swiftly and very quickly takes these people out, which was quite satisfying, because fuck those people. And once their plan starts going to shit, the lady who I'm pretty sure was the organizer of this whole thing tries to call in backup, and these suits come in with guns. And, you know, these people are basically, our protagonists are realizing, yeah, we're fucked now, dude. Like, they're just all hiding behind this rock. And at this point, the boyfriend does get killed. You know, the bickering couple they were brought back together through this horrible evening, and unfortunately, they're not really going to have a lot of time to rekindle that love, because he's already been injured tonight, and now he is just fucking dead, because he gets shot multiple times in the chest, and he's done. He's fucking kerplunk. He's finished. And right on cue, right after he gets fucking killed, it's like, you couldn't have had better timing. Come on, man. The fucking militia comes in, the revolutionaries. I did like the detail of having the homeless gentleman from the last Purge movie being one of the militiamen who are coming in to basically eradicate these rich yuppie fucks who benefit from killing the less fortunate. And yeah, these motherfuckers are coming in to clean house, and they do, man. They clean this fucking place out. And Sergeant and them have the opportunity to leave, and the girlfriend is so pissed off, she's like, I want to purge. And the leader of the militia is like, okay, here's a gun. And she just goes and fucking kills him with them. And it's like, all right, and they just fucking leave, you know. Little random, but I understand why she'd be pretty pissed off. I mean, these guys did just kill her fucking boyfriend or fiance or whatever the fuck they were. And yeah, I definitely enjoyed that that whole sequence in that simulated hunting ground. It was just really, really fun stuff. And then we get to the ending. So, you know, I feel odd about the ending of this movie. I'm not going to say I hate it or despise it or anything like that. I just feel like it was very rushed. It felt very rushed. Basically, what we get here is, you know, boyfriend's dead, girlfriend joins them up with the militia guys and, you know, kills all the yuppies. And so now we just got the mother, the daughter, and Sergeant. And Sergeant goes to where he's been trying to go this whole fucking night, and it's daylight now, and, you know, he's ready to get this shit over with. And, you know, he wants to kill this motherfucker who took his boy from him 1 year earlier. Not during the Purge, but he, you know, killed him in a drunk driving accident. We've been over this. He got off because of a technicality, and now he's like, no, the justice system failed me. They failed my boy, so I'm going to use this time that I can legally do it. I'm going to break in this motherfucker's house and kill him because that's what my boy deserves. And, you know, they try to talk him out of it. They're like, please, please don't do it. Please don't do it. Please don't do it. And he's like, no, I'm going to do it. So he goes in there, wakes this fucking guy up. The wife tries to go for the kids and, you know, to protect him or whatever. And he's like, I don't want your fucking kids. I don't want you. I'm here for you. And he drags this motherfucker out. He has this big-ass hunting knife. He pins him to the fucking ground, beats the shit out of this guy. And it's like, you know, it cuts away, and we're like, fuck, he killed him. I was like, oh, shit. All right. Like, he did it, you know? And then he comes out, and the sun's shining on him, and he's just like, sweet revenge. And it's obviously he didn't get revenge, as we see later on, but then he gets shot like multiple times. I think on like the chest or the stomach or something, but he gets shot up pretty good. And he falls and he's lying there, and we see that it's Big Daddy. And I'm kind of wondering at this point, I mean, he's told the mother and the daughter to stay in the car, but they have to be seeing this shit, right? They're like, fuck. I mean, maybe they're just like, we don't have any guns or anything. We're just kind of boned. So I kind of get it. They're not just going to run out and try to save this guy unarmed when Big Daddy is clearly armed. But yeah, man, we get some good quality dialogue from Big Daddy, basically just explaining some of the ulterior motives of the Purge, and he goes to kill him. And then the guy, the owner of this house that, you know, Sergeant was intending on killing, comes out not dead and shoots Sergeant right between, or not Sergeant, shoots Big Daddy right between the fucking eyes and kills him. So he's dead. And I'm just kind of sitting there like, okay, we were in the bedroom and this guy had a knife to this dude's fucking skull. Very clearly getting ready to off this motherfucker in front of his own wife. I would have liked to have known, like, what happened between those two in order for this guy to want to save Sergeant. It's like, dude, you just broke into my fucking house and were like, it beat the fuck out of me in front of my wife and was like seconds away from killing me. Let me help you out, bud. I would have liked to have known, like, what transpired between those two in order for that to even be a thing. I don't know. It's just kind of, yeah. I mean, it's pretty clear that what we're supposed to gather is that, you know, all the stuff the daughter has been saying to Sergeant throughout the film finally got through to him. And, you know, he had second thoughts and he was like, no, you know, I'm better than this. My boy wouldn't want me to do this or something. But, you know, we just don't really get anything. And it was like, oh, and that's a very important part of the story, you know, and we just didn't get it. Very odd choice, but they do end up, you know, picking Sergeant up and he does not die. In fact, I'm pretty sure he is in the next one, election year. If I'm not mistaken, he's like one of the security guards for the chick or whatever. We're going to find out. But I'm like 99% sure he's in the next one. But yeah, so clearly he can't die here. So he gets saved and they take him to the hospital. And they kind of have that moment at the end, you know, the purge is wrapped up now. There's actually a moment where the militiamen are about to, not the militia guys, the private military, Big Daddy's private military, are coming to kill these fuckers who just killed Big Daddy. And the sirens go off. And it's like, well, now we fucking can't. So they just leave. And, yeah, man, they fucking drive to the hospital. And, you know, the mom and the daughter and Sergeant who's fucking bleeding, or, you know, they just stand outside this hospital. And we kind of get that moment of like, you know, everything worked out. And I'm just kind of sitting there like, you know, it's good to take in the moment, but this guy's like dying here, man. Get him into the hospital. Like, what the fuck? But that is the ending of the movie. Yeah, man, overall, I thought it was fun. It's a really fun time of a movie. Like I said, you could definitely nitpick some shit here and there. There's definitely some stuff that's a little weird. But overall, man, I think this is a perfectly good companion piece to the first one. We get some good action, some good scares, a lot of tension. Yeah, overall, I see no reason why you shouldn't check this one out right when you're done watching the first one. Have yourself a little double feature, man. The Purge and then the Purge Anarchy. That's what I would do. That's what you should do. Or not, you know, live your life. But, yeah, man. That'll do it for the review portion of the video. But you know what we gotta do now, baby. We gotta get to the blood, the guts, and the gory bits. We gotta get to my kill of the film. Stick around. Much like the original Purge, there is not a whole lot in the realm of inventive kills or anything like that. Like I said, this is much more of an action horror adjacent type series. And clearly there's a lot of horror elements within these series as well, so, you know, that's why I'm reviewing it. Anyway, but yeah, not a whole lot to say, not a lot of graphic violence. Doesn't really need to be, but it is kind of a bummer that we don't get some more fun, inventive kills. You know, that's kind of a thing, you know? It's like, come on, Purge. You know, this is my fucking gimmick here, man. Come on, James DeMonico. Let's get some fucking gore here going, man. But no, overall, that's not really the purpose of these movies. Just a lot of people getting shot and banged up, and that's really it. I will say, though, my kill of the film is probably a first for Days of Darkness, and it is going to be an off-screen kill. Earlier on in the movie, when the Purge first is, you know, commenced, father ends up sneaking out, and he goes to this mansion, and he leaves his daughter and granddaughter a note. You know, part of the struggle that this family is having is the fact that, you know, this guy is very sick. He's dying and he needs medicine. And obviously medicine, much like in our world as well, is extremely expensive and is not cheap at all. So it's clearly a stranglehold on this family, and this guy ends up making this agreement with basically these rich motherfuckers who want to purge, but they want to do it from the safety of their own home, much like we see towards the end of the movie. And, you know, he made a deal with these guys that, you know, if you give my daughter and granddaughter $100,000 each, I will let you guys kill me. And they do. And we get this very sad sequence of them reading this note. And, you know, we get the voiceover from the actor playing the role. And it's this very disturbing sequence where he just sits in this chair with all this, like, plastic wrapping around this nice house. And these rich, yuppie, you know, nice, well-suited motherfuckers have these machetes. And they're just getting ready to kill him. And it's like, we don't see it. We see nothing. Which you would think later on to be like, okay, maybe they're going to save him or something. It's like, no. He's just dead. And there's no saving this guy. He's never brought up for the rest of the movie. It's just now they have to deal with the fact that this guy made this sacrifice for them. As noble as it may have been, like, fuck, that sucks, dude. It's just a very disturbing scene. And since it stands out way more than any of the other kills in the movie, that is going to be my kill of the film. So yeah, man, first off-screen kill that wins kill of the film. That is not, you know, a very common thing. If at all. It's never happened. So yeah, man, shout out to that. Shout out to the Purge Anarchy. And that's basically going to do it for the Purge Anarchy, man. And with that, next time on Days of Darkness, you know, as cool as the Purge movies are, I feel like I need a break from, you know, just the generic gun kills and all that shit. So we're going to look at a classic fucking slasher and a brutal fucking slasher as well. We're going to be talking about a classic and one that does not get talked about enough. And that is The Burning. And I cannot wait to discuss that film with you guys. It is one of my favorites. And yeah, man, without further ado, guys, thank you as always for stopping by. Thank you for supporting the channel and supporting the dream. And as always, take care of yourselves. Take care of each other. And for the love of all things gory, keep watching horror. All right, guys. Have a good day.